Pokémon has come a long way from its humble beginnings from its debut release on Nintendo Gameboy System on February 26, 1996 in Japan. After 23 years, they came up with over 32 core releases, not to mention other spin-off games. Today we will give you an in-depth summary of what changed over all of these years. This is Lonely Mimikyu and I welcome you to this channel, now with the audio fixed. Thank you for sticking around, guys. I really appreciate all of your comments and likes. Please, if you have any more ideas or whatever you think you would like to see in this channel, feel free to share it. Happy to create that content for you guys. If you're new on this channel, please consider to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any new videos that will come out weekly. And without further delay, let's jump right on it. So we all know that there are so much Pokemons now that are just so cool and overpowered, isn't it? We use these Pokemon in competitive tournaments in our squad fighting the Elite Four. We fight that spiky-haired dude we thought was a friend based on the cartoon franchise. But did you know that Who's That Pokemon segment only had a total of 151 Pokemon? Imagine singing that song now, naming all of the Pokemons. Name 890 Pokemons now, buddy. Yep, you heard me. Now the Pokemon franchise has exploded and we now have 890 Pokemon. It's a far cry from the early years of what we know. Not to mention all the generation that was introduced over the 24 years of its existence. We'll now go dig deeper into this. These are all the core Pokemon games released throughout its history, not to mention all the spin-offs. So we start in the Generation 1, which were originally released in Japan with red and green. These were then replaced in the West, so the green version didn't left Japan. It was replaced in international markets for the blue version, and in later years it came out a yellow version, which has Pikachu as its main feature. Some years ago we moved to Generation 2, which introduced us a new region which is called Johto, with the games of Pokemon Gold and Silver. And following the same sort of steps as Generation 1, we also get Pokemon Crystal, which has both Pokédexes combined. Generation 3 introduces us to Ruby, Sapphire, later on Emerald, and also Fire Red and Leaf Green. Generation 4 brought us Pokemon Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, and later on Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which were both remakes of the Generation 2 Gold and Silver ones. The Generation 5 consists of Pokemon Black and White, and there are other versions which are Black 2 and White 2. Generation 6 introduced us Pokemon X and Y, and Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which were remakes of Generation 3, Ruby and Sapphire. Generation 7 brought us Sun and Moon and the whole Alola region, and years later they did a remake which is called Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Also, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee still follows and actually is on the Generation 7, weirdly enough. And starting in 2019 we were introduced to Generation 8, which is the current Sword and Shield games and their DLCs. Today we'll be discussing the difference of Generation 1 and Pokemon Sword and Shield. So in Generation 1, where we were giving Pokemon Red, Blue, Green and Yellow, these were released to the international markets on the September 28, 98. Fun fact that these games are better known as the Color Generation or Chromatic Generation, based on the versions that were released. And they attempted actually to name it Pocket Monsters, but because of the Monsters in My Pocket franchise, they named it Pokemon instead. Generation 1 starts in the Kanto region, where you venture out of Pallet Town without a Pokemon, and Professor Oak stops you and brings you back to his lab, where you can choose your starter Pokemon, and a battle with your opponent starts after that. Here are the starting Pokemon of Red, Blue and Green, which are everyone's favorites even up to nowadays. Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, and of course their evolution lines. What's worth mentioning is that Pokemon Yellow, you don't choose any Pokemon, but you're given Pikachu as a starter, following the anime and the manga history. So we'll just be focusing on Pokemon Red, Green and Blue. Generation 1 had a total of 151 Pokemon and 15 different Pokemon types, and over 165 moves restricted to 4 per Pokemon. Generation 1 is the only generation without a playable female character, although evidence suggests plans for an intended female player character. Generation 1 is the only generation that indexes its Pokemon in order of creation instead of by Pokédex number. To summarize things, the first gen has become the template for all Pokemon games. The game is fairly simple compared to the newer games, but it still gives you the nostalgic feel if you see the gameplays and when you do play it yourself. And let's not forget, we are talking about 1996 and 98, so even for the time it was a huge success and a huge boom in sales as well. Now we move over to Pokemon Sword and Shield. These are the 8th installment or the 8th generation to the Pokemon games franchise. They were released on September 25th, 2019, the same day as it was released in Japan. As we all know, now the 8th generation started with Pokemon Sword and Shield and continued with the Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass DLC. By the way, I also did some videos on movesets for some of our all-time favorites that came back in this generation. So the link is in the description, don't forget to check it out, and if you're currently playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's definitely worth a while to check them out. Generation 8 is the first generation not to include every previously available Pokemon in its code, which caused a lot of frustration amongst fans because some people were expecting all the monsters back, or imagine how frustrating it is if your favorite one isn't in that game. And it was the first generation as well to include a paid DLC, and the first to be released entirely on a home console system, which is the Nintendo Switch. Generation 8 starts in the Galar region, which happens to be in the same shape and form as in the UK. And starting on February 11, 2020, Nintendo released its so-called Pokemon Home, where players can store and trade Pokemon in a cloud-based application, so you can move your monsters around from all of your games. The starter Pokemon of this generation are Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble, and these are their evolution lines. The 8th generation brings in 81 new Pokemon, bringing the total to 890 and 80 new moves, bringing the total moves of 781. The addition of 29 new abilities brings the total to 261 abilities. In Generation 1, we have the 8 original Kanto gym leaders, which are the most famous one and probably most well known of them. So, the gym leaders are Brock, Misty, Lieutenant Surge, Erika, Koga, Sabrina, Blaine, and Giovanni. What the Generation 8 also introduced us this time was to get gym leaders that are exclusive to one version or the other. This didn't happen in any previous games. So, of course, some of them are the same, but there's still slight difference between if you're choosing either Shield or Sword. So, for example, Milo is the gym leader on the first gym. That's the same. Nessa, the water gym leader, is also the same. Kabu, the fire master, is also the same. But on the fourth gym, for example, if you chose to go with Shield, you're actually going to be fighting Alistair, which is a ghost gym leader. Or if you picked Sword, you're going to be fighting Bea, which is a fighting gym leader. The fairy gym is occupied by Opal. The next one also is depending on the version on the game that you're playing. So if you're going with Shield, you're going to be fighting Melanie, which is an ice gym leader. And if you choose Sword, you're going to be fighting against Scordy, which is a rock type gym leader. On the dark gym, you have Pierce that you need to face. And the last one is occupied by Rayhan, which is a dragon type gym leader. After years of constant refinement, of course it's going to be tough to compare Generation 1 and Generation 8, because they are so different and they are also built for other times. Right, if you think about back in 96, the games that you had available, it was pretty much the starting of the whole handheld console game, so the amount of information and data they actually needed to put in one chip, it was impressive. Right, nowadays of course you have way more resources, and it's going to be tough to compare those generations that are separated by over 24 years. Technology has made a giant leap and things have changed a lot. So this is all for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the new content and the new ideas. Let me know down in the comment section if you like this sort of content. because we can definitely do analysis on the other generations and compare them amongst each other. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and do let me know which other topics you would like me to cover. That's all for today, guys. Lonely Mimikyu, out.